sir.
Hey, Billy.
Who signed my stuff? Thank you.
Finishing it right now.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, Stacy, I signed the checks because
How are you?
I have to take John tomorrow morning, for surgery, so I'm not coming in tomorrow.
No, I just signed above you, it's all good.
So, anyway, it was like, I'm just gonna sign them so I don't have to worry about it. No, that was a heavy sigh.
We'll do it tonight. We have. Will and I will talk tomorrow morning
And
about if they're actually impactful or not, so.
thank you.
No problem.
Sam?
Hey, Sam. You're the only one that gets the gift. Sweet. I left everybody else off.
We all voted.
They're all on the audience list.
So you were most
Just
deserving.
presidential.
Voted they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Chair, President Chair.
Could be an umbrella.
Could be an umbrella.
Could be an umbrella. A big umbrella.
Not an umbrella.
You try that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. First up is additions to and or approval of the agenda. I do have one item to add under executive for personnel.
Mayor, I have one item to add on a new business for, agreement with, Sioux Falls Area Humane Society.
Motion approved as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other items there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next up is public hearings, so for the Lennox comprehensive plan. We'll open the public hearing for that.
Mayor and council, tonight is what I hope is the final step of the comprehensive plan rewrite that we undertook this year. This was a process, I think we started off in April with a committee that was appointed by the mayor. That committee is acknowledged in the document, I think on pages 3 and 4. So the city council was acknowledged in their planning commission, then we had comprehensive plan task force members in there as well. Kelly Boomgarden, Harold Timmerman, Sharice Enan, Art Ringen, Chad Conway, Chad Wolf, and Jim Gibbon. I also had staff participating and staff from the Southeastern Council of Governments help as well. Overall, I think a very thorough process, lots of discussion. It's a really good discussion. The final pieces that we were waiting on were the mapping, so the future land use, the major streets plan, so on and so forth. What I do want to bring your attention to, though, is on page 5 of the comprehensive plan, where we talk about community vision and mission. This is in here as a placeholder, and I think it's something that deserves some discussion, and probably won't be something that's resolved tonight. This is something we really need to identify as a group at some point. What does our community mission, vision look like? What are we trying to do? What are our values? What are we trying to accomplish as a local government? You know, that's something that I think we need to discuss, and I think needs community discussion as well. So it's in here. If you pass it tonight, I would recommend passing it minus that highlighted section. But not because it's not important, just because we probably need a longer discussion than what the public hearing allows for, so. Overall, we had, some community participation in the process, and at probably 2 of the task force meetings, we had, audience members, and in a couple of cases actually had them participate in discussion, with the group. But beyond that, I just leave it open to the floor for any questions.
I guess having been at all but one, I think, of the meetings, like you said, there was, I thought, really good discussions. And it was nice to, there was a good group in there to have those discussions. As for that highlighted portion, I don't know what, we can not pass it and come up with that before we pass it? Would that be a better choice than to pass it without it and then try to add it later?
It doesn't have to be in there,
Okay,
but if there's a place for us to talk about it, this is the document.
sure.
In terms of all of our planning documents, this is really the one that guides everything we work on in the future for development, and even policy. And so, if there's one place for us to talk about it, it's in this document. So, you don't have to pass it tonight. We can certainly have, work sessions, or you could appoint members of the city council to figure that part out. Or even just the members that served on the task force, which I think was Mauer, Doherty, and Welch, if I remember right, that were formally appointed to the task force. So we could leave it as something for the council as a whole to figure out, or it's just a work session with those 3 to come with suggestions. But there's any number of possibilities there. It's not that we don't have a current comprehensive plan, already rules what we do. So not passing it doesn't mean we don't go without, doesn't mean we go without one for a while.
I guess with that there, any other thoughts, I guess?
I mean, I think there's a lot of good work that went into this. I think we should pass it in some capacity soon. So if we don't do it tonight and wanna get this done, I think we should get a plan to get that accomplished
Sooner rather than
than
later.
later, not just
I
let
don't
it
think we
hang up.
wanna rush into just throwing something together for this portion on the side, then make sure we get that right.
No, I agree, so I don't know if we pass without, do we do a revision to add it in there, or how does it, if it doesn't get put in
Yeah,
there,
we just amend it,
just amend it?
yeah. And again, it's not like we
imperative.
don't have to have one, a lot of it is still the same, and, I think if we were to have a big decision that is dependent on the comprehensive plan come to us next month and we don't have this passed, we would probably ask for some time on that decision until we have a new comprehensive plan.
Right,
At least if it is significantly conflicting with the current, or the new one, I should say.
Well, I think if we can easily amend it,
Yeah, we just pass it.
yeah, then I'd be in favor of just passing it tonight and then
Yeah.
amending it when we come up with that language. I think.
How do you prefer coming up with that language? Any ideas? I can put another survey out, but we didn't have that great a survey response on the comp plan.
Right.
I would like to think we have a little response, we're talking about mission, vision, and values, but I don't know. It's always a crapshoot.
I mean, I think put another feeler out there,
yeah, see if,
survey, and we can put our heads together, and this is the first time I've seen it, so. I don't think it needs a ton to add to it, but
No, I think it's got a good bones to it already.
Right.
yeah, maybe like, put out a survey and then see whatever comes
The
there. and
results
then
back next month.
we can, as a group, solidify that,
Okay.
we get that within the next couple months. That sounds fair.
Can do.
Alright. Any other,
So we're looking for a motion to approve the Lennox comprehensive plan,
Yes, but I would ask the mayor to close the public hearing prior to that.
right?
so any public comment on the comprehensive plan as presented? right, seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the comprehensive plan public hearing. And so now entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the Lennox comprehensive plan.
Second.
We have motion, a second, is there any further discussion there? Do we need to have that motion indicating to,
I don't think so, we can just amend it at any time.
okay. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Lennox comprehensive plan is approved. Next up is visitors to be heard. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion there?
I wanted to talk about, there's kind of some hubbub about, the parking on lawns. Say we do look into that, what is that, how does that go? What does that look like?
I mean, if we were to, if the council were to request some sort of revision to that ordinance, we just need direction on what they would like to see. Some of the things that have come up is parking in front lawns, or parking on grass, or differentiating between trailers and vehicles. There's been some past discussion, I can't remember any recently, but past discussion about use of milled asphalt in residential. Right now we'll allow it in industrial only, I believe.
Sure.
So if there's an ordinance revision that's desired, we would simply request that there's guidance on what the revision, what you would like us to look at.
I know there's a survey out there on one of the Facebook pages. I don't think it's really the right platform, but can we put our own survey out there where maybe it reaches a broader audience?
Yeah, we could certainly distribute one of our regular surveys. How many customers we have on front desk right now? 700, 800?
About 750.
So right there, there's 800 households that we could distribute it to.
Yeah.
On the app, on Facebook, Instagram now as well.
Yeah.
So, we have options to distribute it pretty widely. Figuring out what the questions are and how we want that to be worded, I think is the challenging part.
Yeah.
What's this?
I mean, because I see both sides of it. I definitely see where people do not want to be looking at people's stuff sitting in yards and stuff like that. But, I don't know. I think maybe it's worth at least looking into it and just seeing if there's options out there. I don't know.
What's the upside to allowing it?
That's it. Let's get some people's opinions.
Well, I haven't followed along.
Yeah.
I got a screenshot of it sent to me, like what do they wanna do?
It sounds like some people just, they want to keep their campers maybe, trailers.
So you just
Extra
park them
vehicles
in
in
the
their
yards?
backyard or front yard, yeah.
I think one of my biggest things with a survey, though Billy, I appreciate, what you're bringing forward. Whenever we put a survey out there publicly, we have to be prepared to respond to whatever the response is from the community, and we're only getting a very small portion of the community.
Right.
So
I agree with you.
if we're not getting, let's say, a certain population that's not going to respond to the survey, and they're the ones that maybe aren't wanting, things on people's lawns, or even if we get an overwhelming response that we do want people to, or we want to allow that, are we in a position to want to do that with the beautification of the town, et cetera?
I think we at least have to put that, I agree, you're not gonna get a lot of response, just like a vote, for.
Well, I think what she's saying is if we put a survey out, and only the people that are passionate about not parking on or being able to park in their lawns,
Are
otherwise
gonna
respond.
Yeah.
The survey could be swayed to be very favored for allowing that to happen.
Yes.
And those.
But it might not really be the true cross-functional thought process.
Well, I mean, that can be our response to it though, like, this is a very small sample and it's obvious, you know, in the responses, what the audience is, how they're responding, I mean, the numbers don't lie, it'll be a small number more than likely, and
Do we, how does our ordinance compare to other communities? Is there a cross-section of differences that we can evaluate and see what other towns are doing?
I'll take a look at what the other towns have, but I'm confident that the wording is almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think where this language came from is a broad swath of omnibus ordinance
Mhm.
passages over the years from most likely CCOG. Was passed in all small towns, and we simply held on to it. Will, is that your recollection? I don't think Will was planning on being here tonight, so.
I was not.
Certainly not in uniform. He's off today.
Under the weather as well. Yeah, several years ago, a lot of municipalities in this area all got together and used the same insurance company out of CCOG. And we adopted the same ordinances pretty much straight across the board. Some municipalities have made minor changes throughout the years to allow certain things that benefit their community, that their community has asked for. But for the most part, most of our city ordinances, they fall pretty much in line. You can go straight across the board, grab anybody's book, and they're pretty much the same.
I think there's we hear often, this isn't Sioux Falls, we don't need big city ordinances. This isn't a big city ordinance, this is, I mean, Sioux Falls has these ordinances too, but so does Parker, so does Chancellor, so does Worthing, you know.
And I think maybe the important thing is just possibly having the conversation again, and this is, you know, let's get it all out there and air it out, and this is why we have this ordinance, or, you know, whatever.
Well, I think there's an opportunity for anyone with concerns to come to a meeting
Yeah.
and come here and address us during public speak time. I mean, that's,
A privately
Putting
run
a-
Facebook.
right, that
where
doesn't,
That's not a valid,
right. That's like asking your buddies a question you know they're gonna answer a certain way.
right.
I'd much rather have someone bring the issues, explain the pros and cons of what they're thinking, and give us something compelling to go on. If it's just someone making noise, it is what it is. But if it's legit, bring it to council. That's what we're here for. We want the best for our community. And we want to hear everyone's voice that wants to air that voice. But it shouldn't be done on a social website.
no, we can't really use that.
Right.
In years past, there was certain allowances that we had for specific people that had no off-street parking for snow days. We would allow them to park up on their lawn. And one of the biggest things on why we really got on this to begin with was a lot of people that were abusing junked vehicles, backyards, front yards, side houses, junk trailers.
I think we had to call in a company to clean out a backyard.
We did.
Well, we do that every year. We've got
No, but I mean, like, I remember, I think this was before you came, I think there was like cars back there.
We actually had to go back into to get 2 or 3 cars out of the backyard of the house. And we had warned them for, I want to say it's close to 6 months we battled with them. Although our city ordinance gave us 14 days and then another 20 days after that to abate it. But we tried to work with them and they still failed to comply.
Even with, like, snow alerts, if somebody has to park on their lawn during a snow alert to get off the street, we're not gonna do anything about that. If somebody has to park a trailer on their lawn to pull branches and leaves and stuff like that, that's not what this ordinance is about. This is about long-term storage of vehicles and trailers and campers and other equipment, on a lawn.
My understanding is pavers would suffice as a parking pad. and
Hard surface.
Hard surface, so I mean,
Well, and maybe that's what we need to look at, is just what the ordinance actually allows, because crushed concrete or packed asphalt is way different than loose gravel for a parking surface.
Yeah. And then how many vehicles or whatever are you going to have parked there?
Or you have your whole backyard covered in pavers.
Yeah, you know, you always have this,
And you're renting spots to everyone.
There is a zoning requirement for green coverage in your lawn as well, so.
yeah, I mean, there's always the handful of people that,
Outliers, yeah.
that kind of wreck it for everyone else, and I think that's how you get to something like this, an ordinance like this is.
Doesn't the ordinance read that you have to have the same surface or better that back to the pad from the?
Yeah, you've gotta have a hard surface lane or, driving lane to a parking spot.
Or a certain size shed.
To a certain size shed as well,
Yeah.
yes, over 120 square feet.
And that's a newer ordinance too, that wasn't always there.
That just changed probably in the last 6-7 years or so.
Yeah, it was before I was around, but probably not long before.
Like, what is the rub, like, what are they upset about? They just wanna be able to park stuff in the lawn?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, Clark said, and some people think they can just get away with having a brick or a paver underneath the wheels, and no, that is not considered a hard surface, you know, and I know there's people that think we're targeting that, no, that is not the case at all. You are breaking an ordinance, so you're getting a courtesy letter, and, you know, that's all there is to it. But,
For reference sake, I asked Kyle this morning how many of these we've written this year for parking, 52 letters. I asked what the fines have been so far this year, we wrote 3 violations of $200 each. That's, I mean, so the vast majority of people that get this courtesy notice are taking steps to comply or providing us with a plan to come into compliance that we then work with them on.
sure,
If their plan for compliance is, I'll eventually do something, no, that's not gonna cut it. We want concrete steps you're going to take to come into compliance. And in a lot of cases, it means finding storage offsite.
right,
That's what most of us have done, so.
yeah.
On another note, Kyle, with the auger, is there gonna be downtime for our system?
No, so the replacement auger it's a one solid piece, about 18 foot long. What we have there now is sufficing, it's just not operating properly. So there's like a gap of separation of material that could be screened out, but with it being diminished in that little, about a foot section, it's just making maintenance on it a little harder.
Sure.
Where I have to clean it a little bit more regularly than opposed to it being a self-cleaning system. The challenge of replacing that auger is that building, if you've seen it, there were some challenges of how it was designed to foresee a maintenance replacement. So getting the equipment in there to haul a 18-foot auger that weighs about 4,000 pounds it's a task. So when it was done, before I was here years ago, they had it's like a telehandler that sat a little lower so they could kind of boom it into that garage. But they no longer, this contractor no longer has that piece of equipment. So we're trying to kind of brainstorm some ideas right now and hopefully shoot for spring.
Yeah.
But we have the replacement part.
During the replacement process, will there be downtime at all, or
There will
are you
be.
bypassing it?
Yeah, so similar to when we did the trough replacement, we had to bypass it. And we do have a secondary screening, it's just a simple bar screen that it's a manual. You have to go out there every day and clean it. It's not a big deal, but you know, during the weekends, whoever's on call just has to make sure that that's properly getting screened out. Otherwise, those inorganic materials will carry on in the wastewater stream and clog pumps, clog diffusers, things like that. So it's just it just takes more work.
Sure.
It's going the right direction.
Yeah. Glad to see we've got it all resourced.
Wouldn't it be an option just to rent a telehandler if they don't have one?
So we looked at that, we looked at some of them, we're just trying to take some measurements to see what the equipment has, if it'll fit it's only a 10-foot door.
Gotcha.
So to get an 18-foot long solid piece of steel through that 10-foot door, that's gonna be challenging.
I'll first lift it up and then get it.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
and safely too, I mean, we got,
Right.
for sure.
What, do you know what make and model of telehandler it is?
That's what they were actually gonna look at, that came from Iowa, and they were gonna try and figure out what, you know, if the tires are maybe deflated a little bit, or they're just trying to figure out, you know, exactly.
Well, if you can figure out the make and model, I might be able to.
Pat might be able to get that.
Yeah.
It should be on their former asset
Yes,
list.
I can find it. I'll definitely look into that.
I might be able to, too, so.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Did it have stabilizers on it too, or what?
It did, yeah, because it had to boom out, so,
Right.
you know, your lifting gets a little less the farther you.
And now all their cranes are now all truck mounted.
Right.
You can't get a truck in there to,
Yeah.
you can get it in there, but you can't.
So,
Is
yeah,
there, is there something we need to do to that building to make this like better?
that was kind of discussed briefly between some contractors and myself, and potentially should maybe an engineer, but I don't know if it could be like a hatch on the roof and a straight crane to lift it actually out. Cause you know, this auger's only, it's going on 7 years, and it's already been deteriorated. You know, part of that is because of the HVAC system in there's not the best, so you get a lot of H2S gas eating up that, even though it's epoxy plated carbon steel, but still it's rough.
It's a nasty
Well,
stuff.
it's nasty.
Yeah.
I think they've designed them differently since, have they not? Like larger buildings and things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, we should maybe think about getting a bid together for that and seeing if there's any grant money available for us to do this.
I think a maintenance hatch on top would be helpful. But even if you look at those VFDs, we gotta replace those.
Yeah.
How are we getting those out? You know, that's another maintenance hatch, so.
Yeah, part of going into design of wastewater plant, some of that stuff gets,
They don't
doesn't get
come up
looked at.
with
Well, it comes in pieces. Build around it.
That went in before the roof went
I'm
on.
pretty sure that auger was in.
It's pretty easy, when there's no roof, Kyle, you just set it right over the top.
So, but we're brainstorming and we're working for something for what we got.
Well, I would think they should be able to add some. Make the wall taller and then just.
That or some type of, like a trolley system on what was
Yeah.
there, so we're definitely looking at ideas.
Oh, I never thought of that, an overhead crane system.
Right.
That would be ideal. Yep.
We got
If we have a way to get it out, that's the thing, and it's oriented in such a way that it would have to go through the
Hey, but we,
breaker room to
don't we
get there.
have a hoist thing that rolls,
We do,
that holds a bunch of weight?
we do. The thing is, once you lift it up, you gotta quarter turn it and then pull it out. So it's gotta be suspended, you know, to pull out of the garage. It's
Yeah.
that part that we're gonna have an issue with.
I think, if you haven't been out there and seen this room, the minute you lay eyes on it, you'll go, oh, yeah. That
Well,
makes
it's what,
sense.
8-foot ceilings?
No, the ceilings, it's the garage. It's the
It's the
10-foot
get- yeah.
garage. It's just, that's the hard part. That's the only access, otherwise.
If it were turned 90 degrees, I think it'd be